Welcome. I'm going to turn it over to Mitch Petit, who is a regional manager with NC State's IES, for a brief overview of our services and introduction of today's speaker. Again, welcome everyone. Mitch.
Thank you, Susan. My name is Mitch Poteet. I am a regional manager with Industry Extension Services here at North Carolina State University. Uh, Next slide, please. We are the extension partner here at North Carolina State University that works with business and industry to transfer knowledge and support next generation technologies. We follow a public-private partnership model, which we draw some state appropriations. We get some federal funding, and we also do revenue-based activities. The areas and industries that we serve, most of the groups we work with are small to medium-sized manufacturers. We also work with larger manufacturers as well. We help out in the educational and research institutions. We assist healthcare, pharmaceutical companies, and medical device companies. We work with defense contractors, aerospace and energy sector companies, and we also work with other government agencies. Next slide, please. Some of the areas of expertise that we can help you out with are advanced manufacturing, business growth and innovation. We help out with marketing. We have cybersecurity strategies, defense industry initiatives, grant evaluations. We help out with energy and energy solutions. We do instructional design services. We have leadership training and organizational coaching. We assist with process optimization, quality management systems, supply chain optimization, and workplace health and safety. Next slide. These are my colleagues that are regional managers. We cover the entire state. So if you have any questions or like to talk with one of us, please reach out and we can get you set up with the right person here, and we can come out and visit you and talk about some of the challenges your company may be having and how we can assist. Next slide, please. One more thing before we get started here. We have a large manufacturers conference coming up in Winston-Salem in the middle of April. It's April 14th and 15th. It's called MFG-Con. Registration is open, I believe, until April 7th. So if you haven't registered yet and you would like to attend, please scan that QR code and take a look. And we'd love to see you in Winston. I'm now going to introduce my colleague, Phil Mintz. He's the executive director here. And he will be going over the Smarter NC program that we have. Phil?
Okay, thanks, Mitch. I'm going to go over today the reason why you got on here to try to learn more about our Smarter NC program. And so the Smarter NC grant program is the North Carolina version of a larger suite of awards that was put out by DOE. And this award was given to us and other states all the way back in early 2024. If you look it up, it's under a group called the State Manufacturing Leadership Awards. So each state was invited to apply for these awards, and so a state agency had to apply for it. So we joined with the North Carolina Department of Commerce to apply for this grant, and it got awarded to us again way back then. And so I'll go over kind of what the grant can do and what it cannot do and what it's all about. You will see the QR code on this screen, and you'll see it on several screens. That code actually links you to the application for the grant. And so again, the goal of my success is to have at least one or two applicants by the time I end the webinar. It's a really short application. So if you're, as we go along and you feel like you want to apply for it, sure, go ahead, and it'd be great. Let me see if I can move the slide. So again, we are partners with the North Carolina Department of Commerce, the Office of Innovation and Technology. So the PI, the principal investigator on this grant, is Dr. John Harden of North Carolina Department of Commerce. And so they're heading up the funding of this grant. And we are just a major sub-award to them that leading a lot of the on-site technical evaluations and organizations of all the different assessments that we'll need to do for the grant, and actually responsible for helping companies define a project that we can supply many grants for. And so that's one of the things I'm sure everybody's interested in. We can support some of these projects. So we do have partners other than the Department of Commerce, and the major partner is companies that we engage and interact with and support for their projects. But we also have a suite of energy assessment partners that's helping us on some of these applicants. We're able to provide an systems energy assessment, or even a more targeted process energy assessment, if it makes sense. So that's the North Carolina Clean Energy Technology Center, Land of Sky Regional Council Waste Reduction Partners Team, and also the Carolina Utilities Customer Association, or CUCA. These are three of our energy partners that are helping us with this award. So if you apply and we start working with you, you may work with one of them along with us along the way. So the goal of this award is to actually provide assistance to smaller manufacturers to make sure they are aware of what is involved in implementing smart manufacturing technologies. And again, it's all about mostly getting companies started on a journey to adopt technology. However, we are working with some who have already started and want to expand their technology related to smart. But again, we're working with smaller manufacturers, and small to medium-sized manufacturers are who's qualified. And the facilities that we're working need to have less than 500 employees in their North Carolina facilities. And again, this is a North Carolina award, so the grants can only go to facilities and businesses in North Carolina. Now, other states have the same award. So if you're out of state, you may want to reach out to see what award your state may have in this area. And see, QR code is on here now. So if you fit this category, you might want to apply. So our objectives, of course, we are reaching out to companies and trying to help them increase their productivity and efficiency. That's what SMART does, is kind of provide some muscle to move things a little bit faster and better, again, for smaller manufacturers. And again, specifically help you understand and implement some of the smart manufacturing technologies that we'll talk about mostly today. Amongst it, and as a subset, we want to help some of our North Carolina companies with reducing their energy consumption. That's where the energy assessments come in. So when we applied for this award, we had we were asked to target some specific audiences, and we identified some of the companies that may have a heavier energy use. And again, these are some of the target industries that we're very interested in. And of course, we'll work at any North Carolina manufacturer with this grant. If you're not on this list, you're not disqualified. As long as you are a registered North Carolina manufacturer and you have an interest in smart manufacturing technology, we're able to work with you some. So don't let these target industries hold you up there. So what companies might fit this effort? So if you have been planning for something and you've thought about implementing a new technology, but you have not started yet, that's critical, because if you have started it and you've already bought stuff, then we can't help you. We have to work with you on developing what the project will be that we will support. So if you're planning to expand, you may be wanting to add some technology that's helpful to you that would fit the grant. If you want to increase your output, smart manufacturing technology is very good for that. And if you want to decrease defects and improve your quality, there's smart manufacturing technology is very helpful for that as well. Machine downtime unplanned. There's devices and technology that's very good with that. And of course, if you're struggling to maintain assembly labor, which many of you, I'm sure, are dealing with that, and then some of these technologies that you're mostly aware of can help with that. So the projects that we're looking at kind of fits these kinds of efforts. And we'll get into more specifics about the types of projects we are looking for. So what is smart manufacturing? This is good, and this helps you kind of frame kind of what we're looking for here. This is the use of emerging advanced technologies to increase the efficiency of traditional manufacturing processes. So these types of applications is about increasing how you do things already, some of the traditional things. So that's why when we talk about automation and robotics and connectivity, these are things that allow you to be more efficient with what you have. So again, I'll talk more about this, but it's not, smart manufacturing is not go get you a brand new nice process machine. That's not what this grant is all about. It's how to better utilize technology to be more efficient with what you do already. And so just think about that as we go through some of the ideas we talked about. So what happens with using smart manufacturing? So if you can do things like monitor your equipment performance or automate complex processes, you can do things like reduce error, and so you can improve efficiency. So that's what smart manufacturing is about, is using that technology to improve. You could also increase productivity. If you can understand when things are starting to happen that's going to slow down production, and you can collect data on it, then you can go ahead and make adjustments and keep the productivity going. Also, you can reduce waste by controlling things, using smart manufacturing technologies. Again, predictive maintenance. Some of you may have motors that have to run for a long period of time, and they break down, have to be fixed. As smart manufacturing technologies allows you to collect data from these motors and understand what they're doing and try to be able to predict when they might fail. And so you can address them on your own plan and not unplanned maintenance. So again, as you can see, there's a theme here, just getting data, learning more about what you're doing now to be able to make adjustments and do things that will help improve your productivity and efficiency. So here's some of the key features here. Again, when we talk about smart manufacturing, one of the low-hanging fruits here is connectivity. Find out what things are doing, be able to understand what your machines are doing remotely, collect data on those machines so you can know what's happening there, and so you can be able to adjust things and make and do something in real time. So you can take that data, analyze it, and make decisions. So when we talk about smart manufacturing projects, we're talking about, as a primary thing, is getting information from your machines, connecting the machines and sensors with to your front office and being able to know what's happening there. So those are kind of low-hanging fruit. If your machine has the capability to tell you what it's doing, provide the data through technology, you might want to consider that. And of course, as the next step, you may want to use that data to display it in the factory. We're starting to see projects that people are asking for to do dashboard displays in their factories. That's one of the types of projects that we're looking at smart manufacturing. So if your workers can see what's going on in the factory by looking at the dashboard, they can act quicker. And of course, some of you may already do that. Now there's capabilities to monitor your assets remotely, to track what's going on in your factory, even when you're at home. That's probably not a good thing. But again, you're able to, if you're doing some lights out manufacturing, or you're doing a small shift, you can actually know what's going on in your factory, and you can make decisions on that. So that's a couple of the key features. We talked about automation. You can use that data, and now you can start programming robotic arms and automated guided vehicles and things like that can actually do some things that's repetitive, that you can define and put rules to. You can set the machines up to actually do those things on their own. And so this picture just talks about how companies are able to use robotic arms on multiple machines. And you can see on this picture how everything is all lined up and set up. So the operator just kind of moves the machine into place. And so there's been programming, it's already set up. So the robot arm knows what it needs to do with the job. And again, that can help with increase productivity. Again, other things are the predictive maintenance. You got vibration analysis machinery. So you can see on this photograph where, you can put sensors on your motors, and now it can track what's going on with them and give you an alert when things are kind of not standard, and you can make some changes. Same thing with thermal imaging. So these are again, these are ideas in smart manufacturing with what you're doing now that can help you be more efficient. Again, one of the other things we talked about automated guided vehicles, which I'm starting to see a lot more of that as we go around and look at in factories. Again, I was just in a factory last week that had a automated tugger that just, but again, when we talk about this automation, remember, this is not AI. This is really rule-based activity. You can program something that follows rules, and it just does that over and over because it knows what the rules. And when we talk about AI, that's a different thing. That's learning and adapting and making changes because of what it learns. You also have digital twins where you can actually have a digital version of a machine that you can collect data on and understand and be able to make adjustments based upon what you see on the computer. That's actually a twin of what your machine is outside. So these are all the things that we're looking at in terms of smart manufacturing. Those of you are interested in that. So what types of projects are under consideration? So this could be helpful to you if you're thinking about a project. Some of the things that we're doing are right here. So we've got projects underway that we're talking about to deploy like scanners to be able to receive data automatically. These seems more simple, but this is what we're talking about. How can I help my existing program and existing manufacturing with some technology? Well, I'm using scanners to collect data rather than writing it down on a piece of paper and get it in the system. It sounds, but there's a lot of you out there that needs that type of project. Put the dashboards in. We talked about that. Robot arm usage in machining. We're talking to a couple of companies about implementing automated guided vehicle systems. We're doing a lot of discussions about monitoring flow, workflow, and the process of collecting data digitally across and inventory management is important as well to a lot of people. We still have a lot of small companies that don't really have a good automated inventory system or MES, manufactured execution system in place. We recently talked about a company about a parts counting system. They lose a lot of parts and they need to be able to be more automated in how they count it. So you can see these are the kinds of things that we're looking at doing with this grant. There's QR code. If you're interested in some of that stuff, you can go ahead and apply right now. Projects that are not being considered is like, if you just want to buy a new fancy machine that's a machining center, well, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about using what you have more efficiently. So any kind of new machine you want to do to be able to have a new capability, this is not the grant for that. And even though it's a DOE grant and we would maybe do an assessment on your energy systems, the grant's not supporting any new purchases of chillers and energy systems, HVAC, anything like that. There are probably other grants out there that can help you with that, but this is not it. And so projects that are just unrelated to manufacturing operations, this is a manufacturing award. So we're not really considering any projects like that. So again, if you have any questions about the types of projects you might be considering, we'll throw those in the chat and we'll talk about it. All right, so what happens? How does the program work? We'll talk about the steps that we go through to kind of get you involved into the projects next. So first thing is that you use this QR code or you go to this link and you can complete a short application. Some of you probably have already completed it already. To see if you're in, and what you can determine by the application, kind of if you qualify, and you go through the steps, and we'll collect some information about your business and what you do, some of the processes that you have, the energy systems that you have. It just gives us a snapshot of who you are and what you do in North Carolina, and just to see if you are qualified for the award. And so we review those applications and we'll do some initial qualifications. And what we do is we will select at least 100. We've done a bunch of these already. I don't think we've visited 100 yet, but we'll visit companies and with an initial walkthrough and assessment just to verify what you put in your application, learn about what you're trying to do, and see if there's a possibility of a viable project there. We're going to need to be talking to someone who's a decision maker, to see if there's something that can be done. But again, we're ready to go out and follow up on your application as long as you feel like you're ready to move forward. So one thing I want to note is that when you do the application, you will get a notice back that requires you to look at an applicant webinar, which is similar to this webinar, but it goes into more detail about the structure, the steps of the admin part. We won't go over the admin part today of what you have to do to be able to receive funds. But that's that. But if you do apply, then we'll need you to go through that webinar for applicants. And once you go through all of that, and you see, what's involved in getting the money, then you have let us know if you still want to go forward, because sometimes people are like, hey, I don't want to go through all this process, and so you can decide that. So it's a few things. I mean, you have to get qualified by. You have to get like government IDs and NC State IDs and things like that. So again, once you fill out the application, you can decide how much further you want to go. So then we'll, from those walkthroughs, we'll start digging deeper with some companies and working with those. We're going to make up to 75 companies. We'll provide some further technical assessments. This is where for some of you, it'll make sense for us to offer an energy systems assessment, not only for kind of the different systems you have in your company, but maybe related to the process that you're trying to support. So we'd love to understand that if a smart manufacturing technology project can help reduce energy on a process, that would be great to turn into DOE. But we also can help you work through some of your process assessments and give you some ideas of what types of projects would be good for you if you don't have that already. But your job is to take that information, take the support we provide, or take the ideas that you have and put that together with a third-party integrator who will do the project. So the grant is going to support projects that are done by third parties. So you got to buy your technology from a third party, and the third party needs to integrate that project and get it going. We will not be supporting internal activities with refunds. That's just too messy. So the projects are all third-party projects. So we would need you to not only identify the equipment, but also identify the integration costs, the programming costs. These are the things that the grant's going to reimburse anyway. So this is an important point here. The grant does not cover equipment purchases. That is your matching investment. So the companies will buy the equipment, and the grant will support the other things that are associated with getting the equipment working properly and set up and in place. So there's always a lot of programming, and there's oftentimes some infrastructure work like electrical that has to be done to get it working. So all those things you can turn in for reimbursement if we approve all those things. And so, but your part to the project is the equipment, which is the matching part that you buy. And also, and then the other note is that the equipment, your matching part needs to be at least 30% of the total project, and we'll go into that. So what you do is you decide what project you want to do. You get with a vendor and you put together the project, and you get a quote that talks about what they're going to charge. And we have a worksheet for you that if you apply and we move forward, we talk about that. And then you submit all that to us, and then we get it approved. And we hope to support at least 50 projects with this grant. We don't have a lot of dollars, but we want to do a lot of smaller projects with this. And so then we'll review your quote, and then we'll decide what we can reimburse. And again, we'll match what you spend up to 70%. So you have to put at least 30% into it. And typically, if you buy a machine, especially if it's like a robot arm, something automation, you'll easily cover at least 30% of the project cost. But again, for a $20,000 total project with everything, we can reimburse up to $14,000 on that, as long as that $14,000 is non-equipment cost. But we'll do that up until maximum for any company of 25,000. So we need to do a lot of projects, so we don't want to use up all our money on one or two companies. So we expect an average of less than that, but many companies are coming up with larger projects that are going to be using their 25,000, and that's fine. And we'll do these things until the money runs out. So we're working on. We got a handful of companies now that are approved to move forward with projects. So what happens is that once we approve, before you do anything, again, we got to approve what we're going to do, and we got to collect all your quotes. We got to make sure we know what you're going to do. And so we'll approve up to a certain amount, and that be the amount that we would reimburse. Once you complete the project and you pay the bills, you send us a copy of your payments and invoices, and then we will reimburse that amount that we decided what you're going to do. So you got to pay up front, and then we give you the money back, because we have to ensure that the work gets done and the project's working. And again, we don't want to be reimbursing something that's not working. And so make sure you plan it out really well and get the project done. All right. Oh, there's that QR code again there if you're ready to apply. So here's what the application will look like when you apply to it, and then you can walk through that, and again, it'll put the information in that's will help you collect the data on your company. And again, we'll get that, and we'll go to work on looking at it and try to set up an appointment if you're further interested after you do the detailed webinar and see all the different points that you have to go through. Find out more. You can reach out to me through the Smarter NC info email, smarternc_info@ncsu.edu. We have a website that has more information about the program, and there's flyers there. And again, there was that slide. We'll send you the slide deck, as Susan mentioned, because that shows the types of projects that we're generally working on. All right.
I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording now, but we will be taking questions.